And, and some of the things we did this year had really great benefits in terms of reaching the artists, individual emerging artists in the community. We had a virtual arts exhibition called 2020. And that was really, it's great work. And we out it at the same committee a couple of months ago and let you know. So going forward, I think that Sandra and I, our plan is to work together really to facilitate conversations around what the art service organization could be in West Harlem. And so we are very interested in developing a digital survey for the artists and the arts organizations and the residents in reference to what some of the needs are and to help us prioritize what types of services this organization might offer. We want to facilitate a number of community meetings, and we would like to collaborate with this committee, with Community Board 9, to host one of those meetings virtually or in person, however restrictions allow us to do it. So we can get as much information in as possible. So that's basically what we hope to do. We would try to work to develop a plan for what the organization would look like, what scale it would need to exist at to be of optimum service to the community, the residents, as well as the artists and the arts organizations here. So that's my spiel. Ziad, please.
Yeah. Thanks, Michael. And I think that's the cusp of the conversation that we want to have going forward. We want to hold some public forums. We want to get the input of the artists and the art groups in the community, listen to them, find out where the shortcomings have been in the community. If they ever left the community to do art, why? How can we keep them here? What kind of services we can offer through the creation of an arts organization? Obviously, there's some infrastructure building, whether it's creating a board of directors, a 501c3, the bylaws. That's back office stuff that we'll handle. But the most important thing is to have conversations with the community, with the artists, finding out what the needs are, having them basically, having them talk about what a mission would be for the organization, what the vision for the organization is going to be. They need to have that conversation, the artists and these moderators, these consultants, because it's serving them. What do you want your organization to do for you in the future in this community? How could will it help us to work together? Are we going to be able to create collaborations between these artists and these artists? It's going to really strengthen the community arts world here. It's going to you're going to see instant growth in the arts. You will see galleries start opening up everywhere because this organization will have the viability and the support behind it, including from the artists primarily. The artists of the community want this to happen. There are institutions behind it. There is funding behind it. It has a home. It is an umbrella where everybody can come and be safe and work together, potentially get funding, potentially get granting from all together through other sources. And I think that's the vision for the future. And this is what, these are the conversations that Sandra and Michael are going to moderate in the community. I think they put out something that they want to have a big public forum. I think the middle of July is when we were talking about possibly having one. And just opening it up and bringing all the artists in. We would do outreach between the community board and WHDC, reaching out to all the grantees and arts and flyering the communities and the cafes and the laundromats and the supermarkets, and just trying to reach all of our tentacles into the artists' world and saying, come one, come all, let's all sit down together and have a powwow about how we can create this dream and make it a reality in 6 months. I mean, we're not going to live forever. So we got to move really, really quickly and try to get this done, because we really want to get services out to the arts community. They've been struggling, and forget about the pandemic. I mean, that is just double whammy. So we really want to start providing services to the community in this arts field. And these are the people that are going to drive it forward. And we wanted to make that introduction. Are there any questions that any of us can answer.
Well, I think, Zad, you were very, very thorough in your choice of these two candidates. It seems as if they have a plethora of experience, and we are so excited to begin the project. I'm going to open it up to the number of people who are on the line. It's like 23 attendees. I'm sure there's questions out there that you wanted to ask before we get started.
Yeah, I thank you both for your, all three of you for your presentation. Just want to know what kind of time frame are we talking about? Being that we're still inhibited by COVID, but we're coming out of it. How long did it take NOMA to get off and running?
Sandra, you want to take that?
Noma started before they hired me. That was 2006. But prior to that, remember Noma was started by UMass. UMass was people in the community, like community board 12 people in the uptown community were demanding at that time that they invested in the arts in northern Manhattan, because there was nothing up here like that, and that was like 2005, and then in 2007 we kicked off the organization. So it took them, but they started with this, it was a new thing, but the people, I mean, the people at the Hispanic Federation, I don't know if you're.
There's some voices, if you could mute your phone, that would be great.
Yeah. The Hispanic Federation, who they've been around for a long time. They applied for the grant. They got the grant from UMass, and they use, they have the infrastructure to bring together all this, put together a board, put together, this whole idea, a plan, of what we needed in the community. So it took a while, but then that's why we have the blueprint, right? Like we have some of that with us that we can now kind of adapt and, to the community, some of the steps. So
as a UMass board member who helped fund that, and as the first chair of NOMA, I can tell you that our goal was immediately to get services into the community while the back office was doing the 501c3. So bottom line is, when we got it rolling, we said, let's put a board of directors together. Let's see if we can get some funding into the community, and let's see if we can have conversations. That process took about 6 months,
correct,
which is what we're looking at, right?
Correct.
And then the legal process of 501c3, I mean, we're gonna try to fast track everything and have the whole organization have a home, have its 501c3 and all that jazz in about a year's time. But could it provide services, and could it even re-grant within that time? Yes, it's very possible. Could it start to have surveys? Could it start to have conversations with artists, and could it bring them together? If the pandemic, if we have an opportunity to bring people together, we will have venues where we can come together and speak together as a large audience. We've had audiences of over 300 artists at sometimes in the beginning stages, because people were so excited about the creation. And I think this is where we are at here. And so the bottom line is we're just having the conversations and bringing people into the fold. We want to know, like, what do you think, an organization? So we just want to get to the point, we're through the thinking phase, and we want to talk like, hey, do you have an idea for a name for an organization that lives in West Harlem, right? They might come up with brilliant names. Who knows? West Harlem Arts Alliance, Sugar Hill Arts Alliance. We don't know what people are going to say, but people are going to say things, right? And then we're going to have a contest to have the artists choose it, because that's what we discussed with the consultants, and that's what we experienced. And we thought that was like a brilliant thing to kind of bring them in and to have a vested interest into the project. So things like that, and have them, discuss and do charrettes around, this is all things that they're going to drive, do charrettes around the mission, around the vision, take the best pieces of missions of arts organizations, put them together into something that perfectly serves this community. So there's just, right now we're in the dialogue phase. And to answer your question, Walter, I think that realistically 6 months at a minimum, but it had to start. That's why I was like always chomping at the bit earlier this year. I know it takes a long time, but we really wanted to, envision it this year. We wanted to realize it in 21. I kind of like, I'm really interested in getting it started in 21, not in 22. 22, we want to get all the other stuff out of our way and really hit the pavement for our community-based grants in 22. We want to be ready for that.
Well, and we're in the process of putting together, the business plan, basically,
Right.
how is it gonna, so we can propose it to the artists that we're meeting, and then we take it from there. We make all the changes that we need to do. But basically, when we started at NOMA, as soon as I was hired, I started in July 2007. We launched the organization with the big, announcement and a big party, and we got the head of NISCA at the time.
They
that
own their
because they
backlot
couldn't
and they hire an intern to run
I'm
there.
sorry. Huh?
No,
No,
go
no.
ahead.
So then I was already on my way to, I hire a program person immediately. So we started working. We were incubated at this, at the Hispanic Federation for the first 6 months. So we had an office, we had their support, they were managing the money, everything that we needed so we could put the organization out there. And then we launched the organization with that event, announcing to everybody that we were there for the artists, and we had all the, a lot of stakeholders from the community, the organizations, a lot of people. And then we move on right away into the granting program, because we were lucky enough to have some grant, so have some seed money to start the organization. So we have money for grants, and we launched the grants program immediately. So it was really fast, really intense, and really wonderful because everybody wanted it, and people wanted to be part of it. So that's the way we started. So I think in 6 months we could pull this off, definitely.
So, okay, so I'm sure there's many questions, but one of the things that I really kind of want to get a handle on is that the first initial step is public sessions to hear the artists tell us or tell you what it is that they're looking for. Is that the first step in this process?
Well, the first step we put together, and the idea, Michael and I have been working already for a month, writing, and looking, doing some research, and we put together like an outline of, and some ideas on the mission and the vision that we could present and take it from there for discussion, even a working name and that kind of stuff. So we start looking into that. We also created a draft of the survey, based on some of the questions that we have already and that I have heard, people have asked in the past. So, and that I understand, there are always the questions, So we started with that. We've been doing our research. We've been meeting weekly to look at the different players, who is in the community, who are, which organizations, et cetera, so we're putting together that.
So the first thing we'll do is the survey, I believe, and we'll move from that to public meetings. But we hope to have at least a couple of meetings, public meetings during the month of July. Absolutely, we want to get those going. And as I mentioned, we would hope that the community board would join us in hosting that.
Very good. It's, and I think I had mentioned this to you before, Zayed, I really am hoping for a closer relationship with, I don't know what that looks like, but a closer relationship with the organization to ensure, one of the things that we want to ensure is that, and there's a lot of players in Harlem that has been around for some time. And of course, putting together an arts organization requires people like yourself, Michael and Sandra, to be very experienced. But we also need some new, fresh ideas as to how we're going to address, let's say, artists in a certain age group, like young artists or our senior artists, or there needs to be a new breath of people that we help. One of the things, and I was very disappointed, Vosa left today, is that I've been hearing from artists, and they're saying to me that some organizations are, when it comes to them, they're using the same players or the same organizations. The bigger organizations, they fund them, hoping that those organizations will fund the smaller organizations. We need to have a more transparent process, and we need to be very much more inclusive. So
Absolutely, I totally agree. I totally agree.
yeah, so it's a lot of organizations out there that don't feel included, a lot of artists that don't feel included on some of the things that are happening in West Harlem. And so how are we going to first reach out to them, and then address them in the while we are creating this arts organization?
Well, I think that we actually, I feel that particularly in this past year, one of the things I've learned is that there are so many, just speaking of emerging artists, young artists, artists at the beginning or mid stages of their career, that are right here in the community. And we were able, through our collaboration at the Art Carnival with Centro Civico, for example, to really reach a diversity of great new emerging talent. And the artwork is unbelievable. I think it's still up. You might want to go and check it out. So we're going to do as much outreach through organizations, through community organizations and arts and cultural organizations as possible. I know that there are organizations that have a fairly substantial mailing list, and we're also going to look to the community board, who has at least developed a direct help us to access that and any outreach or information that you have. But certainly that is key. And I think that's one of the things that we found that really is keeping the community extremely vibrant and is bubbling up and really holds the potential for the future here.
Yeah, so we
say,
kind
Harry,
of, so I'm sorry, Sandra, I just want to
Yeah.
say, I would love, and I'm sure my committee members would agree with me, would love to start from the bottom up. What I mean by that is that when we're talking about funding, one of the key issues that people are attracted to organizations is because they provide resources like funding to help them. So we really want to hear how this organization will be different, because other organizations start from the top and fizzle down. So the larger organizations get $40,000, $50,000. The traditional
Are you talking about funding, or are you talking about funders?
I'm sorry.
Harriet, are you talking about funders or
Funding,
programmers? What
yes.
kind?
And so
of work?
that's one of the
Funding
real, I can name so many organizations that's out there that's doing some great
Harriet.
work. Harlem One Stop, just so many organizations that some of the things that I'm hearing from them as chair is that there needs to be a bottom up approach, and the top of the tier often gets all of the funding. And so that's one of the things.
I think that's exactly why you want to have a more localized service organization to help provide information about resources, to provide resources, to provide expertise to some of the smaller organizations and to the artists. You understand that many of the artists generally are the last to get funding because the policies of funders restrict funding to individual artists. So that is a concern. But re-grantors are able to carve programs, for example, that can reach a direct grant to individual artists. There are opportunities for residency programs and all kinds of programs for artists that we need to try to access. And if we have representation and collaboration and coherence at the local level, we should be able to change that and make it more bottoms up, as you're describing.
You know, Harriet, the first 3 years of NOMA, they did a re-grant program, and that was exactly our goal. It's not to try to hit the big organizations that have been there forever. You know, what we did is we did a re-grant program with about $75,000, and we basically said to local artists, we want to do an RFP show us a project that you're working on, and we can give you up to $2,000 to finish that project, for instance. So we were able to get people who just literally in the midst of a project, they needed just to get over the top and they just needed a little bit of money. We were able to hit off like 35 different artists, local artists in the community, to finish off projects with up to a $2,000 grant. And then we gave other organizations, you know, what's your organization need to make you more viable because you serve a lot of people, gave them $5,000 grants. That's small. That's just a small a tasting of it. But then we did that again in the second year and the third year, while still other organizations were getting funding, and they were still applying for more funding from the outside to come in. And an organization like this will be able to get a lot of funding from elected officials. Love giving these kinds of organizations funding because they say, I'm not picking one organization or one artist over another. I'm giving it to the conglomerate and they're distributing it through collaborations, through time in galleries, through time in studios, etc. So they really, the focus in an umbrella arts organization for a specific district is to be able to reach into that district and start down here, not up here.
Right.
I just wanted to point out.
Yeah, Sandra, I'm sorry. We'd have some great ones that really need to have that kind of help. Some great ones on this line, Harlem Opera. I mean, all of these organizations are organizations that we have really watched grow over the years, and they really are helping the community. And so we like that bottoms up approach. But I don't want to tie everybody up. There's other questions, I'm sure. Anyone else?
I wanted to say something possible.
Yes.
Hello, everybody. First of all, congratulations of the selection of Sandra and Mr. Yutank. Centro Cívico Cultural Dominicano has the experience of collaborating with them, especially with Mr. Yutank. And one thing that I'm glad that Harriet spoke about is the fact that we have to think about the artists from the bottom up. And one of the things that came to mind immediately was the fact that when Michael was at the Harlem Art Alliance, that was one of the approach that about 5 of our artists were able to be granted some seed money for them to be able to proceed with their art. And they came to Centro Cívico Cultural Dominicano, they gave the presentation, they took them by the hand in the sense of the process as to how to fill out the application, to give them the information. And to this day, we have 2 of them, 2 organizations that came out of Centro Cívico, nurtured by that collaboration from the bottom up. So I think that that's one thing that, Harriet, you really hit it on the point. And I'm sure that you cannot have anybody better to be qualified as to that process than Michael. And Sandra, I met Sandra at that time also. So I feel very comfortable seeing those 2 very experienced art interested individuals, because I think that West Harlem would be the winner of having them initiating this process. So I really want to thank the 2 of them for accepting this, and to see them back into the community. You don't know how happy it makes me. And I think that they would be perfect on Harry. I'm with you, okay? And they do have that experience, and that's why I respect them. They are very highly respected.
Thank you so much, Doc. Thank you so much, Dr. Galvan.
Gracias, thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, so
Can we be a little more specific regarding the Arts and Culture Committee and CB9 and the role we'll be playing with this organization?
very good question.
It'd be a public forum. It'd be an opportunity to reach out to the artists, because the organization is going to be a standalone organization. It's not going to be controlled by WHDC once it's created. It's going to have its own board of directors. Those board of directors are going to be a New York State 501c3. They're going to have a mission and a vision that was forged by artists and art groups with the financial support of WHDC, with the forum and input of CB9, but it's going to be a standalone organization that CB9 doesn't control, WHDC doesn't control, Columbia University doesn't control, but we could all support it. We could, you know, we're going to be lobbying for a lot of institutions to give them funding, to give them resources, to give them space, right? We all do that together as a team in the community, but they're going to live alone, and they're going to they're going to develop their budgets and forge their mission and their vision and support the artists of the community.
Well, we certainly don't want to live alone. We've done enough of that for this past year. But I think we are talking, what we're planning to plan is, as Ziad said, independent 501c3 not-for-profit organization that can serve the community. And we certainly would want to collaborate in every way we can with the community board. And certainly one of the major ways would be in terms of reaching out and having public forums.
I think Tina brought up a very good question though, and I'm not sure if it was quite answered, Ziad. What she's talking about is the time. I mean, how do you see us in the creation process working together, and what does that look like? What are you looking from us? What can we contribute? How do we see this marriage in the future? Because they, as you know, you were chair of a board, so you know that it's one of the real serious fractures in organizations. Not that we as a board are trying to control anything, but there's always needs to be a series of, you know, just conversations
Absolutely.
about how we can both help each other. So we really need to, I think what she's asking is, what do you need to see us do moving forward in helping bring forth this organization? How can we help?
Yeah, I think that Michael, you know, said that we want to have forums together. You know, we want to talk to the public, want to talk to the artists, we want to talk about how to drive this forward. How we envision this. And this is going to be a public forum. So I think that there's a checks and balances system in the sense that everybody's listening to the same words, and everybody's saying, you know, we agree that it should go in this direction, that it should be envisioned this way. So the public forum really becomes a conversation or an opportunity for us to kind of agree with each other about what direction this organization wants to go in. I was chair of the board, and we had our meetings about exactly the same way that we're doing now. The initial meetings and the meetings that we had that were like, you know, 100 strong, 200 strong of artists. But once NOMA became its own entity, then we cut the umbilical cord and we said, you guys make the decisions. But they didn't stray far from the parents, because, you know, the community board is the one that kind of, you know, said we want it to live, right? And then WHDC said, let's fund it to make it live. And then they said, then the artist said, this is what we want it to be, and this is what it grew into. But it stayed there, you know, it stayed in, you know, by its parents, basically. It comes to report to the community board. For example, NOMA still reports to the community board, you know, on a very frequent basis. They send all of their messaging, public messaging, through the community board as well. So they'll send it to Youtha and say, Youtha, there's this thing going on, there's a gallery going on, and there'll be announcements coming through like on a daily basis to the community board. So you guys are going to be, you know, probably sick of hearing from the organization about how much it does collaborate with you and work with you. For example, you might say, you know, hey, whatever this organization's name is, right, West Harlem, whatever it is, say, hey, you know what, we have this new office in Community Board 9, and we wanted to see if we could bring some local artists in here, and we're going to put up art every 3 months. So do us a favor. We need a curator, and we need somebody to come in here, check out the space, and we want to give people in our community an opportunity to show their art off, and they can even sell it if they want. You know, it gives them an opportunity to make some money, you know, and just helping in so many ways. There's going to be endless collaboration and communication, to tell you the truth. They're going to live here. You know, they're going to be in our backyard, they're going to be in our ear, and they're going to ask us for support, and they're going to make connections for organizations and with organizations.
And then-
Okay, you have a raised
Want me to say
Jonathan?
something or?
No, I'm sorry,
Be quiet.
Sandra, and then Jonathan.
Yeah, I just have, good evening, everyone. I just have a quick question. Pragmatic, from before the public forum, you said you were working.
Sorry, Jonathan, I'm sorry. You're on mute. I'm sorry.
So,
So,
so anyway, good evening. I'll start again quickly. Just in a pragmatic sense, the first step. Yes, the public forum, that's great, but you've already started to work on the survey and on, drafting sort of the idea of this organization. So does this committee have an opportunity or will have an opportunity to kind of, look at those drafts before they're made, before this public forum? That's my question.
Well, we're looking at this draft that we, are you listening? Oh, yeah, I'm on. As a working document, we said, we put together like an outline and these ideas. And yes, I mean, Zia, you could,
I would say that we would like to get as much information as we possibly can from you. So
yes,
nothing that we're drafting is going to be secret or hidden under
right.
Los Alamos.
No, I'm not implying that, Mr. Umthank, that I think that, how do you get information from the community board? How do you do that except by, wait, let me finish, please.
Okay.
Except by sitting down with the committee and having a conversation. You don't have to sit down, it's all email and whatnot, but, so what is from your point of view, what is the process? You just jump into a public forum without this information? I don't, public forum to me speaks to a lot of people. And sometimes things don't get a chance to get discussed, fully. So I'm not sure what you have in mind. That's all.
Okay, well, I'll just say there are different planning processes, I think, that all of us have been with. There's nothing secret about any kind of draft. I think what we would draft is some general kinds of framing statements as a jumping off point for any kind of public dialogue. So it wouldn't just be, oh, let's just jump into a public dialogue. That's why we've been considering what this organization could look like and what some of its parameters might be. We are developing a survey so that there'd be another instrument that would be tailored to residents or audiences, as well as a diversity of people, including artists and people representing arts organizations. Your input would be very helpful to help create some of that framing, but certainly, I think that a process that would be inclusive of input from the community board and having relationship with the community board in a two-way street, a dialogue, is very important. So we can begin to forge that kind of relationship or that kind of process as possible, but this is actually the beginning of that. So there you go.
Anita?
Oh, I think Michael Palma might have had his hand up before me.
Oh, I'm sorry, Michael.
Yes, hi, good evening, everybody. I'm speaking as a former chair of the Arts and Culture Committee. As a matter of fact, the first chair of the Arts and Culture Committee at CB9. And I think this is a wonderful, wonderful idea. And I happen to know Sandra and Michael Umthank, and to tell you the truth, I couldn't think of two better people to spearhead and begin the organization of a West Harlem Arts Alliance, so to speak. I do want to, though, reiterate and what's been echoing in this meeting, so to speak, that it is very, very important that Community Board 9 is a partner in this effort. But I also do want to say that Community Board 9 is not going to be the only partner in this effort. As a matter of fact, there are many, many voices in this community. And I think I could probably make a qualified statement that it's hard to believe that Community Board 9 is the true voice of the whole community. And this effort really has to also include those other voices. And those public sessions are going to be very, very important to capture those other voices. I am very, very heartened to see Professor Galvan here from the Centro Cívico, because those are one of the voices that are often very missing from these conversations. So while I'm very, very, I believe it's very, very important to have Community Board 9 input in this, I am also enthusiastically support the inclusion of the many, many other voices that often go unheard at these kinds of meetings. And I hope that they in these public sessions can capture their sentiments, their thoughts, their feelings, and their artistry as they come and develop this organization. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Anita?
Oh, thank you, Harriet. I guess it's from just what I've heard today. I was wondering, it sounds like it would be nice for the Arts and Culture Committee to be part of some of the decisions rather than just hearing the reports of the decisions. And instead of, just being part of public meetings, to help prepare for them, and before, and then to be part of the integration afterwards.
Okay, so just a little clarification. As Mr. Ramadan mentioned, these organizations are meant to kind of like we help and then they take off and fly on their own. That's and I get that. We want them to soar on their own, and they don't necessarily, we're not in the dailies of an organization like this. But it is our hope that in saying that we have right now in the critical process, I think that's what I'm hearing, that we kind of really have deep conversations about what we'd like to see this organization's initial how we envision it looking. And I have a very clear directive and very clear vision of how I would love to see it, but there are some other committee members that have that vision. But once we did that input process and we worked together, the idea is that they are to then, like mother kicking out of the nest, to fly by themselves in hopes, and Mr. Ramadan, you've been a chair before, in hopes that they will continue to work with us, not us guiding them anymore, but work with us and keeping us abreast of what's happening. Is that kind of like what we're talking about, Mr. Rowe? You can help me. We can't hear you. You're on mute.
You hit it right on the nose. I have a 17-year-old son, and he's going to be going to college soon. And, I've been starting to think about how, I hope I gave him the guidance, because, he's going to be on his own, making his own decisions. And I can't talk to him like a son much longer. He's going to I have to talk to him more like a brother. And I think that that's the situation with this. We're kind of giving it form, and we're blowing life into it with all of our ideas and all our wishes and all our wants. And at the end of the day, this organization has got to walk on its own. It's going to be our partner in the future. It's going to be an organization that stands alone and serves us and serves their colleagues and their kids. And you're right, Harriet, about having young people, just like I told you about my 17-year-old son. I can't talk like I'm a 50-something-year-old anymore to him. He won't listen to me. He's into his social media and his teen life and this and that. And they have a different arts world than we have, right? They like different music than we like. And we've got to take all of that, listen to all of those voices. So to answer the question about, what, I mean, look, WHDC is going to be in the same boat. We're going to help fund driving this organization into creation, and then we're going to step aside, but we're going to fund this, right? But the conversations are going to be had here between, these moderators, this community board, all the stakeholders who want to be involved, and we'll sit there and we'll talk together. We'll come to a conclusion about how this is supposed to look, and then we set it off on its own, and then it's going to be a partner of ours. And they're going to come talk to us at community board meetings, and they're going to tell us about the nice programmings, and they're going to tell you how they're granting to us, to all of us. They're going to say, hey, we got money for everybody. Let's make this happen, and let's make the arts beautiful in this community, and let's show everybody our beautiful art, no matter what kind of art it is. And I think that's the way we have to envision it. It's easy to be scared about how things will turn out, but it's actually more fearful to sit together and speak openly and finally come to a unified conclusion about how it's going to be. And I think that's where we got to be.
So in that very same breath, Zion, we want to make sure that in this creation process, that like a child, you want your values imparted into him, so that when your son go off to college, he ain't like jumping off of bridges and stuff. So we really want to impart into this Mr. Unthank and Sandra, we really want to impart into what is important to us. So then hopes that when it does take off, it will be it will serve the community in which we are so much a part of for in myself the last 30 years. So what Anita is saying is, yes, there's public forums. Yes, there's and Jonathan said, how are we going to create, what's the process in creating those public forums? We want to go along with you as far as we can until the college days where you go off to school.
I think that's,
what is it? How can we do that? That's what my committee is saying. We know we got to drop the baby off.
How do you raise it?
well,
I want to raise my hand.
Go ahead, Sandra.
I just want to say something because I'm going back to when I was at NOMA, and our relationship with the community board was like very tight. But the community board advocated for the organization all the time. The role that they play was advocated. They passed resolutions when we went, this is happening. They invited us to give a report. We went to the meetings and gave a report. And we also did events with the community board. We had art exhibits, receptions, in their space, meetings. So it was a very tight relationship. So I don't see any way in this, that we're gonna be in different places. I think it's something that we have to be together to make it happen. And I think
not gonna fall far from the tree.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, but listen, Sandra, West Harlem is a totally different animal than, and let's keep it real. It's a totally different animal. And as we all know, there are players in this community that always get the funding, that always get the top of the pick. They're always the artist that goes to the Jazz Fest. I heard an artist say to me the other day, I have never been picked to do anything on Harlem Week. Never. They know about me, they know my qualities. I represent artists in the community, and I have never been picked. So we have to stop that. Where you come from, NOMA and Community Board, was it 11?
Well,
this is totally different down here. There are just a few players that control the pot. So what we're trying to say now is, how can we help you understand that there is a bigger pot?
Because Harriet, Look, we're all smiling because you're preaching to the choir. We're all laughing because we dealt with this 20 years ago and we knew exactly. The cool thing is this, right? We knew the potholes. We didn't know the potholes then. We know the potholes now. And we're very experienced and seasoned people, from Michael to Sandra and myself. They're the ones who are going to lead it. But we had conversations about like what to expect, what people are going to say, what their greatest fears are. And guess what? We were all in the same boat. We said the same thing. You don't think 30 artists sat in front of us and got up and said, same people are getting the money all the time, man. This is a fix. And so we addressed all those things. And guess what? That's why NOMA still exists 17 years later, because they're doing the right thing. They're serving the right people and they're taking care of everybody at every level, but especially the artists down here who never had the opportunities. I mean, people who were literally selling art for $60 a weekend started selling art for $600 a weekend overnight once NOMA got involved and started helping people out and exposing their art to galleries and doing collaborations. That thing that Michael talked about with the young artist that he got, go look at it. I said, I want to see who's my favorite artist out of the 6 young, artists of color. I couldn't decide. They were all brilliant and they're all being supported by by an organization such as Michael's. This is the kind of, we're on the same page. That's all I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah, I get it. So can we get some firm commitments, Mr. Unthank and Michael and Sandra? Can we both, myself and Daria, have a collaboration with you offline? And can we get maybe after the public session, after the public forum, maybe sometime in September, we come back, you guys can update us and have conversations, real conversations with the committee, let's say.
Sure. I don't see any reason why we can't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, we'd be happy, we want to have conversations with you. What you can do, since you've expressed this concern about the values, for example, that are unique to West Harlem. I've been here, most of my adult life. So I understand that they're doing every neighborhood, every community throughout wherever you go. What we'd appreciate, I think, since you mentioned it, if the committee does have a sense of its the values it wants to pass along, to communicate that to us as well. The other thing,
we will.
The other thing we would want to know is we would want to have access or to share with you, or have you share with us in some way that you feel comfortable, the directory of artists that you have. That's something that probably, we would need, that you guys probably need to go through, and we would certainly want to work with you to do that, to make sure it's up to date, make sure it's accurate, because all of this information, all this input would help us to do a better job in outreach and getting information from the community members, artists, arts organizations, and residents alike.
Yeah, I am concerned, Michael, about art organizations, specifically the smaller organizations in the community.
Yes.
And I can give you a list off the top of my head of arts organizations that have told me time and time again that they don't get the resources they need to do the job to help the community.
I could tell you for a fact that I represent, I'm trying to resurrect one of them myself. So I know, believe me, I know. But if you do have a list, don't give it to me.
Yeah, okay.
Top of your head, send it to me, because it would be helpful. It's very helpful. So thank you.
Yeah. So, okay. So we'll talk.
But yes, we should continue the dialogue. Absolutely.
We
I'm
will
sorry.
definitely.
We will.
Mary and I will reach out.
Conversely, can you send us a list of the artists that you have in CB9?
I don't know why we couldn't.
Oh, that's a great idea.
I don't know why we couldn't.
I
But
think we should all
we're
share.
trying to gather.
Yeah, I
We're
just
not.
did.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. We're not a repository at this point, so we're trying to gather information. But whatever information we have, or whatever documents we have, are not secret documents. It's nothing top secret. We're happy to have a dialogue with you folks. Absolutely. So let us know what.
I'm sorry to jump in. I'm not sure how to raise my hand. This is Dakota Pippins of Harlem Late Night Jazz. And we're working with Voza and Ziad on the Harlem Music Fest and other things. And we have a database. We have been focusing on CB9 musicians and CB9 artists.
That's great. That's
for
great.
both in terms of, venues for both the fest and some other things that we're doing.
Fabulous.
Voza had to leave and he asked us to, let you know that, but I
Well,
know
we
we'll
would
be meeting with
definitely
Ziad
appreciate
and
that.
Marco very soon. And
We
we'll
would
hash
definitely
out.
appreciate that. So we
Michael,
can't
you
hear
broke
you.
up. Michael, you broke up. But,
we'll reach out to you.
so
Did you hear me? I'm
Dakota
sorry.
and I have been meeting and talking.
We
extensively.
would definitely.
Yeah, and so
Yes.
we'll definitely connect Dakota and his organization. I know that they've been communicating with CB9 as well about creating a more comprehensive list to represent. And let me tell you, at the end of the day, that new organization that's created, that's going to belong to West Harlem community artists, that's going to be the clearinghouse for everybody. And they're all going to meet there. They're all going to hang there together. They're all going to collaborate there. They're all going to get funding there. They're all going to go to technical service programs together there. It's going to be a fun place to be. It's going to bring beauty to the community.
Any other questions for Sandra and Michael or Zad?
I do.
Okay.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Forgive me for not being on video because I'm trying to make my way home from work still. So a couple of things. The first thing is regarding the list. We keep talking about the list and we keep talking about the artist directory. Just so, and I think I've said this at a meeting before, but just so we are clear, unfortunately, our artist directory is not working. It's down. I have no idea how long it's been down. It's been reported to our office. But in terms of that, we keep on talking about that as if it's a thing. Right now, it's moot.
Okay. Unfortunate.
Unfortunately. And I was going to talk about Mr. Dakota Pippins, but I'm glad he jumped in because he will be a wealth of information with his database. So thank you, Mr. Pippins. My question, and forgive me because I've sort of been getting cut off and on the call. Forgive me if this has been addressed already. What, in your experience, and I guess this might be for Ziad or it might be actually for the consultants as well. What is the timeline from now to what do you see as the timeline from now until there is an organization? And I understand there would have to be a board of directors, blah, blah, blah. Or maybe you can kind of give me, I'm sort of thinking of it in the NOMA model because it's such a great role model for us.
Great.
Yeah.
So Daria, we did discuss it. Walter asked that very same question. And we told him on the short 6 months up to a year. We think that 6 months potential for operational and 12 months to get its 12 months to possibly to get its 501c3 and be in a home and be running programs.
Okay, and would that include like facilities, like an office or
yes,
that sort of thing? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Dakota, can you please put your name, your email, and your telephone number in the chat, please?
Well, Harriet, thank you for having us.
Yeah, listen, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. I'm sure Michael and Sandra, we will be talking in the summertime about the public sessions, how that will look, to Jonathan's point. Moderators, who's on panel, like all of those things are very, very important. So Daria and I will reach out to you this later
Mhm.
this month.
Yep.
Is that fair?
Excuse me,
Perfect.
Harriet.
Yes.
I just have one quick question.
Uh-huh.
At the beginning of the meeting, I mentioned this Link New York City hashtag that the kiosk was in Community Board 9, and it said that there's a list of 260 artists in this community, and it had a hashtag. Now, how do we get a hold of that list? I mean, what is this, just in the cloud, this list? I mean, that's my point. I mean, can someone in some organization access this list? Go to the Department of Information and Technology and say, hey, where's this list? So that's it.
Okay. Does anyone have any ideas on how to get that list? Michael Palmer?
No, I don't. I don't have any idea. I mean, I'm not sure what list he's referring to, but I know that for a fact there are more than 260 artists in the area in our community district, and I'm pretty sure that if we were ever able to obtain that list, it would duplicate a lot of the names that we will, by the natural course of collecting, we would already have. By the way, and I'm not sure if Daria was referring to the directory that our committee, the first Arts and Culture Committee, created, which was a very exhaustive database that we collected and we handed over to CB Community Board 9, and they were supposed to post that directory online for anyone to see, with the idea that if anybody needed to hire an artist, they can search the directory for whichever artist they needed, whether it be a studio musician or a visual artist or what have you. That was the idea of the directory when we started the Arts and Culture Committee, and I'm thinking that hopefully will eventually be the ultimate goal of obtaining such a list. But that's not the reason why I raised my hand. The reason why I raised my hand is that just 2 points. One, that when we do have these public sessions, I beseech the committee and the community board and the West Harlem Development Corporation that por favor que sea en español también. All right, that it be in Spanish as well. That these panels and the meetings be conducted bilingually. And that second, that if we ever do express any set of values to the West Harlem Development Corporation about, that might guide or inform an Arts and Culture Committee, that we do that in the form of a resolution that be passed by the general membership. And those are basically my 2 points.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great consideration. All right, guys, thanks a lot. We will reach out to you, Sandra and Michael, this week. Daria and I, so that we can get down to the brass tacks of it. Thank you, Zaid. I appreciate
Thank you so much.
coming.
Thank you, guys. Take care. Have a good evening.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys. A lot of great information. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, okay. Up next, we have from Kids Fest an update from Jessica. Where are you, Jessica? How's that Kid Fest coming?
Hi, everybody. I'm gonna put the camera on. Okay. Am I on? Hi. I'm actually traveling and I am in Europe right now. It's like 2 a.m. So if I'm a little groggy here, sorry, but I'll be back tomorrow. But I didn't want to miss this meeting. So thank you for giving me the opportunity, Harriet, to be on it today and update everybody. So for those who don't know about NYC Kids Fest, it's a festival that started in 2008. We're in the 16th year in Morningside Park. And in 2019, we actually expanded to Jackie Robinson Park. And then last year, due to COVID, we migrated online and did it as a Zoom webinar. And it was surprisingly successful given all the limitations. And one of the things that we did, the main reason why I'm on this call is to report to you and let you know, but I am actually reaching out to the community because last year we hired a couple of teenagers who lived in grant houses to distribute postcards in grant houses in Manhattanville houses. And those teenagers are no longer, it's a paid position that we actually need. We need somebody or two people actually ASAP. And we're paying $17.50 an hour to distribute these postcards. But the idea is to have them distributed really to all the residents in grant houses and in Manhattanville houses. So I can put my email and phone number in the chat. And if anybody knows of a teen who might be interested, please have them get in touch with me. Let's see, what else can I tell you? So yeah, so this year we are going back live and we're not able to do it in Morningside Park. We were not able to get the permit, sound permit in time because of all the issues around COVID. However, through the Open Culture program, we got a permit to do the festival on Morningside Avenue between 115th Street and 116th Street. It's going to be on June 19th, and then we're doing it also up in Jackie Robinson Park. So it was just a complicated situation why we were able to get the permit in Jackie Robinson. But and then we're doing it on June 20th in Jackie Robinson Park. I can share also a postcard I don't know if I can share it in the chat, but I also would like to be able to give people in this meeting a postcard if they have any, places where organizations they can distribute it to as well. We're just on the last final push right now of the promotion of the event. And we have an incredible lineup. We're working with Harlem School of the Arts. Usually we work with Studio Museum, Sugar Hill, and Harlem School of the Arts. And then I see somebody is on here from Classical Theater of Harlem. Usually we work with Meche and have an actors workshop as well. But unfortunately, because of all the limitations around COVID, like Studio this year, they're not going to be able to come. Harlem School of the Arts is able to come. And we've also been able to book a couple of the storytellers from Sugar Hill. And then we have we have a really great lineup with an artist. His name is Fuge, who's a local rapper. We have another artist whose name is Saul Paul, who was nominated for the Grammy last year for Best Children's Album. And who else? We have a big thing that we're doing this year is we started another program, which was an 8-week hip hop program in coordination with Harlem School of the Arts. And we're working with an organization called Our Children, which is one of New York State's largest provider of services to incarcerated and formerly incarcerated women. And so we're working with their after school program. And there's a group of 15 kids who are like, as you know, right now they've been doing this hip hop workshop, and then they're going to be performing at the festival. So the idea is to have give kids the opportunity to perform alongside all of the professional performers.
Excellent. I love it.
Yeah, we're really excited about that new program and hope. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of like a pilot, and then we'll see if we can, expand that next year, depending on how it goes. But yeah.
Excellent. I love it. Thanks, Jessica. And I love the fact that you not only are you serving the children of our community, but you're using artists in our community for work.
Yeah, we really make an effort to really employ the artists in the community.
That's how it should be done.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And we look forward to.
So there's a lot of things outreaching here that I know I'm throwing a lot of things at everybody, but like just of immediate concern is finding a teenager. If anybody has any ideas on that, to distribute flyers, meaning that they need to live in grant houses, because last year what we were able to do was, they need to have access to be able to go put postcards on everybody's doorstep there. So, it's kind of a random.
Put your information.
I have a suggestion.
Okay.
For perhaps WHDC because they do have a teenagers employment program,
Oh, yeah, that's true.
and teenagers that they do, that they work with. And they also have, if, for instance, I think they have a waiting list sometime for those teen jobs. So
Okay.
some people on the waiting list, that didn't get the other jobs might be able to take advantage of your opportunity.
Okay, yeah, I'm actually in touch with them right now about some other stuff. So I didn't, I just kind of forgot about to ask them that. That's a great idea. I'm
Good
putting
idea.
also, I just put the website if anyone wants to check out. And also I wanted to encourage people, because I feel very proud about this, what we were able to do last year on Zoom. And there's a video of a lot of the artists that are appearing this year. But also if you scroll down, you'll see, like, it's on the gallery page. And you can see it's a little like 5-minute reel that we put together of the programming that was online. And also another thing that we're doing too is, because we really wanted to make sure that Community 9 kids are attending the festival. So we created a raffle wherein it was only eligible, like only people who were within the district were actually eligible for the raffle. As a incentivization to be able to come to the event. That's it.
All right, well, thanks a lot. I really appreciate you. Are there any questions for Jessica? Okay, all right, so we're moving along to old business.
I'm sorry, Harry. I went to website nyckidfest.org and nothing came up. Can you put it in the chat so I can, for us seniors who have to put it in Alexa and calendars on your phone, etc., when those events are?
Sure. I just realized I put it in just.
I can't hear you. You must be, okay, go ahead.
Let me put it into everyone. Sorry about that. Okay, sure.
Proceed, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so moving on to old business. I don't think Melvin is here tonight. Is he for Artist Speaks? I don't see him online to give us some updates. Okay, so so that was basically the old business. And I'm just going to allow briefly a few quick announcements. Let me tell you the difference between announcements and presentations. Presentations, you have to contact either myself or Daria to let us know that you want to be on the agenda. However, several of you have put in the chat that you would like to make some announcements, and so that is more brief. Okay, so starting with Ms. Goldberg.
Naomi.
Go ahead.
Thank you so much, Rose. I just want to announce that we are doing our annual Revival Festival. It's the 5th year at Grant's Tomb. It's actually coming up on Saturday, June 19th, and I would like inviting you all. I'll put in the chat the information, how you get to. There's going to be dance workshops, and there's also going to be very legendary artists performing. Okay. That's all. There'll be very wonderful people that my majors, George Faison, Shirley Black Brown. So
hi, Naomi. Really when is it?
Hi, Tori.
It's Daria.
Hi. I know, it's nice to see you. It's the Juneteenth day. It's Saturday. There's other things happening, I'm sure, but that was the date we got from the Grant's Tomb. It's been a mess trying to figure out the COVID rules of performing in the Zoom. They have to do we've done a lot of accommodations we've got to make for COVID. But if you can get there, we'll get there. Okay.
Thank you.
I think Anita, you had a question. Anita, did you have a question?
I just realized that I would like to give a quick update. We did have a meeting with RKO.
Okay, yeah, well, let me finish this and you can give your update, okay? I'm sorry, let me just finish this and I'll give any other announcement. Miss Patrick? Mr. Bradford? Can't hear you.
You're muted, Mr. Bradford.
Greetings. Hi, my name is Patrick Bradford. I'm the chairman of the board of the Classical Theater of Harlem. Today was our first rehearsal after first rehearsal for a live performance. We will be back in Harlem's Marcus Garvey Park for the 7th summer with a free outdoor production of Will Power's adaptation of Richard III. So Will Power, who is an African-American playwright, has written a powerful and funny adaptation of William Shakespeare's Richard III entitled Seize the King. We will be playing free of charge from July 9th through the 29th. Because of COVID, you have to go online and register. And so instead of 1,900 seats for each performance, we'll only have 500 in pods, but it's still free of charge. So if you go on our website by June 15th, you can register, say how many people are coming, you sit together in your pod. It'll be 90 minutes, no intermission, as in years past. And we just want everyone to know that we're back on the boards, and we welcome everyone to come out and enjoy the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
you. Centro Civico. Yes. Go ahead, my love. Go ahead.
Thank you. A great meeting. Okay. I'm very happy that to be able to connect.
We're kind of freezing.
Invite everybody to our mother.
You're freezing, my love.
Father's annual concert. How about, is that better?
Yes, a little bit.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay. So we want, Centro Cívico Cultural Dominicano wants to invite everybody to our annual Mothers and Fathers concert. Okay, it will be June 26th at a memorial that you all know, and it will be from 3 to 5. You are welcome. Thank you.
Okay. And last, but certainly not least, our honorable former chair, Mr. Padmore John.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. I was trying to upload a couple of flyers, but I couldn't. I sent it to you, Harriet, so I'm not sure if you can share with everyone. But there are 2 events that are upcoming. Want to let everyone know. First and foremost, on June 16th, 6 to 8 p.m., the Committee for Equity and Health Voices, they will be, this is a committee that was formed that was part of New York City Department of Health, New York City Parks, Department of Cultural Affairs, some community-based organizations, local activists, that was formed in the wake of the removal of the J. Marion Sims statue. At this point in time, the committee is coming together on June 16th to give an update of what's happening with the Victory Beyond Sims, which was the statue that was selected by the public to replace the J. Marion Sims statue. As many of you know, the J. Marion Sims statue was taken down in April of 2018. It stood at 103rd and 5th Avenue. It was taken down by a decision by a public display commission. It was the first monument, the first statue that was removed as part of that commission. And so there has been an ongoing process to determine what will replace that statue. Right now, the public determined that they wanted to have Vinnie Bagwell, the selected artist, to create a statue, and she demonstrated that Victory Beyond Sims. So on June 16th, 6 to 8 p.m. via Zoom, there will be an opportunity for everyone to get an update of what's happening, where the statue is, their funding issues. Just Vinnie Bagwell will be in attendance, as well as Harriet Washington, the author of Medical Apartheid. So we just want to make sure that the community is aware of this, that they participate. The flyer that I sent to you, Harriet, has the link.
Yeah, I can't share it. I'm sorry, Padmore.
Okay, well,
For
I
some
don't know if
reason,
you
it won't let me share.
Okay, well, if the board can put it on its website, obviously they'll be looking to try and get that out to as many people as possible. But I just want to let everyone know that this is an upcoming opportunity to again be engaged in determining what the post-Sims era looks like, very specifically for the monument that was there outside the park on 103rd Street and 5th Avenue. Are there any questions around that? I have one more.
Patmore, can you, Patmore, or can you send that to goodness, to the board
Ray?
so we can get that information? Yes.
Yes, Ray has the flyer.
All right. All right. So, and hopefully they'll distribute it to us an email from you or
Yeah.
somebody.
Correct.
That sounds important.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Everyone, I understand that you probably are sending things to youth, but it would also be helpful. We have our new brand spanking new email address for the committee, which is cb9arts@yahoo.com. So if there are things that that need to come, that you'd like to distribute it throughout the committee, if you would send them there, I can also share them with the committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Harriet. Daria, I will definitely do that. The other announcement I just want to make, we are at Sion Cafe. We are opening our new artist. This is the first artist that is going to be shown for the year of 2021 post-COVID. Since the end of 2019, we have not had any new artists. So there's a new artist by the name of Dan Pruitt. His work is up. We encourage everyone to come at Sion Cafe, 148th Street and St. Nicholas Avenue to see the work, purchase and support a local artist. We'll also be having opening arts event for the artists on June 25th at 6 p.m. So all is invited.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay, well, that is our brief announcement. And I'm so sorry, Anita, we're going to go back to you. And I think this will be our final entry for today. Anita?
Yes, Harriet, thank you. I wasn't trying to cut in. I was just trying to get on the list. Because we did have an initial meeting with Ziad and the developers, the RKO. We're talking about the Hamilton Theater site. And basically, West Harlem Development Group said that they had not seen the proposals. So for them to, for the developers to present to them, I think that was a good opportunity. It was called at the last minute, so I had to just like dial in from my car. I was, like early in the morning, we were told that it was happening at 2 o'clock. And then I think Annette also managed to make it. But that was hopefully just an introduction, and there'll be more meetings in the future, but I just wanted to let everyone know that this connection was made.
Fantastic, wonderful. All right, well.
And I have one more quick thing to mention, if I may. The PSA COVID vaccine announcement that we mentioned a few months ago, they're up now. If you happen to catch them on the Link NYC kiosks around the neighborhood, you might see Walter. Hopefully in the next batch, we'll see Tina and some other people. And everyone, if you want to email me, you can send me, what you want to say. It's a personal service announcement, really, that you want to share with the community that you think is important. And I think they're turning out quite wonderful. So I can put my email in the chat if anyone wants to participate. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, so at this time, we do not have any new business. So motion to adjourn,
So moved.
second.
Second.
All right, it's been
Thank
moved in second. And I thank you all for attending our June meeting. And we look forward to seeing you again. We're going on break for the next 2 months, but of course, we are never on break. But we will look forward to seeing you again in September. All right? Thanks a lot. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you.